everyone. How are you today? Welcome back to Just Talking Business. I am Stephanie Van Bark and I'm a small business owner. Now, y'all know how I feel about my creative industries, and today we are going to interview a film director who is not only a creative that is telling these amazing stories, but is in the film business. So he's going to tell us all about it. Introducing Rico James.
Hey,
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. What's happening?
Good, good, good. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Stephanie. I appreciate it.
We're going to get all into the film business because he's been in this industry for a very long time. Please tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Rico James. I am a creative of film and content, really. I mean, now where everything is getting so mixed in together, film is content. People shoot videos of everything, so it's content. So right now I do have a project out. It's a documentary film. So that's one of the things I'm focused on right now. But I've produced for different networks, for BT, and I was there for a while, but that was a different time, and that's way before the internet craze of content. I was kind of like in the cusp of like they were trying to cross over to everybody was trying to figure out how to navigate this new internet world, and people actually are still trying to navigate it right now. So
Do you think they're too late, meaning the film industry?
no, not at all. I mean, in fact, the gift is that you actually have, with anything, with music and film, now you have distribution at a touch of a button. You can watch a film or show a film worldwide at the touch of a button. The curse of it is you have to get those people's attention to
Right.
watch what you're doing. Of course, first and foremost for anything is making sure your product is good, making sure whatever you're producing, shooting, whatever content it is, whatever TV show, whatever film, whatever endeavor you're taking, you have to make sure it's good first and foremost.
Right.
Only half the battle. Then
Right.
you get the eyes onto it. And sometimes people in the creative industries, they kind of ignored that part, or it's kind of like in the back of their mind.
Right.
I
Right.
kind of straddled that line because I was in the business behind the scenes for so long, but creatively wanting to shoot my own stuff. So I have all these arguments in my head all the time, fighting between the creative side and then the marketing side and the business side all the time. So, but that's it's
I
very
think I think people are very amazed, not even just in the industry, but outside of the industry, that there is an actual business behind all of this. Do you feel like your years behind the scenes has been very beneficial to you as you have, you know, decided to go on the other side, if there's another way to put it?
Yeah, in some ways, yes, and in some ways, I'm still learning because again, the industry is has absolutely changed in what it was. I mean, even when I was younger, there used to be three networks on TV. That was it.
Mhm, mhm,
And TV
mhm.
would go off at midnight, and that was it. And then cable came into play, and you have all these extra channels and all this other stuff. And then Dish Network, satellite, and all this other things. And then streaming came along and just broke open the whole mold. So there's a lot of things that you have to learn in terms of streaming that I'm learning as I go. But there's a lot of things that are just basic principles to product, producing your stuff and putting it out there. So it is beneficial. But again, there's a lot of stuff. And the fortunate thing as well is that a lot of the stuff that you need to know is there's people doing content on how to do it. There's
Uh-huh.
books on how to do it.
Yeah.
Um, Before you have to go to some type of convention or a mentor underneath someone to kind of figure it out yourself. So fortunately, that information is out there. It's just up to all of us to go out there and get it.
And to figure out who's the right person to look at for that, because it's
Exactly.
everywhere. It's
It's
everywhere.
everywhere. Yeah. And there's not one pill for something
Mhm.
either, not just one fix.
That's true.
Especially when you have different products and different things, or how you're doing. How I'm going to do a film may be different than somebody doing a series or podcast or something like that. So it's very different. The only thing that's the same is you have the opportunity to put it out there.
Mhm.
Uh, again, is so many people have the opportunity to put it out there.
there.
You're fighting for, everybody's fighting for eyes, and so that's what it is, eyes and attention.
So tell me, okay, let's start from the beginning. You are going to make a documentary.
Yeah,
And of course, what most people don't realize is, the funding can be a bit of a challenge.
yeah.
And there are a variety of different sources. Can you speak a little bit about what some of those sources are? And especially if you're a beginner who hasn't really gotten the following, what would you advise them to look at and look to when it comes to the whole funding piece?
Well, first of all, you have to look to yourself first of all and foremost.
How do you
And I'm not talking about taking thousands of your own dollars, and although some people have done it, I'm talking about maybe taking what you need in terms of equipment and purchasing that
Mhm,
instead of renting it from someone. I
mhm,
was fortunate in that I went to Howard University and I studied radio, television, and film.
mhm,
So I've always had that background, a production background. But now there's phones out there that can shoot 4K, 6K, 8K.
mhm,
So if you know how to use it and handle it, you can shoot stuff.
mhm,
There's
mhm,
editing equipment out there. If you know how to edit, you can edit and go along and do that. So my first thing is to invest in yourself and invest in your business. And
mhm.
even if it's on a small scale, with your phone or with your laptop, editing equipment. And that way you can save a lot of money just testing stuff, not necessarily having to shoot stuff, but maybe just going around and testing stuff, how it looks, how you think it might look, how you can put it together.
Okay.
You can save some money with that. Then also you have to look to what your project is and who it's speaking to.
Okay.
Mhm. We were talking about Ava DuVernay,
Yeah.
her movie Origins. She knew she would never get a studio to back her financially for it. So what she did was she found institutions that were in line with her movie, and they gave her the money for this film, not any Hollywood backing studio.
And that's what I find interesting. You really could go to almost any source that has the potential of generating revenue. Like, who would have thought you could go to a college and have them invest in something like a movie?
Absolutely.
Why would an entity like that consider doing something like that?
Because you're marketing for them. You're marketing their ideals. You're helping them. You're basically making a commercial for whatever ideal it is,
Mhm.
and they may not have the resources or the time to do that. So it's just like a big Hollywood studio hiring a production company to go shoot something, and it's all in line with what the ideals of that particular company is. Maybe you have somebody who's wants to talk about civil rights, so you may go to the Ford Foundation or whoever and say, "Hey, I'm shooting this particular film on civil rights." NAACP. You can name a number of different organizations. There's an organization for almost everything that you're interested in, and that's kind of low hanging fruit to send them stuff to say, "Hey, I'm shooting this." But like we were talking before, you can't just come off the street and be like, "Hey, I'm shooting this film. You're gonna give me some money." And you're like, "All right,
You better
cool.
get out.
Who
Look,
are you?
first of all, you can't walk in the door.
Who are you? What have you done? How'd you get my number?"
Get out.
Yeah, no.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you really just have to, and again, that's what I'm saying when it starts with yourself, doing stuff yourself, putting it out there, putting your content, getting some eyes on it, building yourself up so you can go into some of these organizations and say, "Hey, I need money for this. I've done X, Y, and Z. It's garnered this many streams. I've, this many, so it's a lot of things that you have to do yourself
Mhm.
before you even approach these people. And that's kind of what I'm doing with my film right now. um
But it feels like that takes time.
of
So
course.
speak to the length of time and time investment you had to make with regards to just this project.
Yeah, I mean, again, if it's not your full-time job, you're dealing with a bunch of other stuff that's just your life, making money, paying mortgages, bills, kids, you know dropping them off at
You-
whatever soccer camp, whatever. So just that, and then having the strength to go on and doing your side project and believe in yourself and doing it. So it takes a lot of time, but if you believe in it, it's not. it doesn't necessarily feel like, because if it's your passion and if it's
Mhm.
something you want to do, that's kind of your like recreation. This is like what you want to do. Like this is my what I want to do on the side. So it does take a lot of time and it does get tiring, but the other stuff is kind of like, okay, that's the necessity. That's what I have to do. You have to give yourself the grace to say, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life to take me away from that other stuff.
Mhm.
So you got to grind it out. You know, you may be tired, you may be sleepy. I put in a lot of time, a lot of hours shooting stuff myself, like physically going and shooting myself, traveling, shooting, editing, lots of edits, hundreds and hundreds of hours of editing
Sure.
myself, you know. And again, like I said, that's only part of the battle. That's it. After you produce something, then you have to go out and marketing, which
Mhm.
is which is a whole nother animal. And people don't understand that because they ask me all the time, "Oh, why don't you stream this on? This is so good." Everyone sees the film and they're like,
Easy.
"Yeah." It's to be honest with you, it actually is easy to stream on a platform. Maybe
Yeah.
not Netflix or something. There's what's called aggregators who take your film or your project and that can distribute it to thousands of different, because there's so many different streaming systems now and people don't understand that. There's Tubi, there's Netflix, there's Prime, there's stuff in other countries you've never even heard of.
Right.
So they can upload it. You can put your stuff. It can be accessible, but if nobody knows about it, nobody's going to click on it. Because I personally have friends who have projects online.
Me too. Me
And
too.
like, yeah, nobody's watching it. That's because they think that somebody's going to automatically click it when it's online. But plus, you're competing with, you are competing with Hollywood stuff. You are
Oh, yeah.
competing with bigger stuff. So you have to market, and your stuff has to be on par with what's up there already on streaming services.
So then let's talk about that a little bit because, the studio system and the network system was designed and created to do just that. A creator creates a project, they take it to them, and they're the people that push it out and make sure everybody knows about it, comes to see it, turns on it. Now there's such a change in how we're moving. What is that marketing strategy when you are going through streamers
Again,
or other?
well, so there's different streaming services that do different things. So actually, let me take that back. Streaming services just provide you the outlet for putting your stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
They are independent production companies that help you market and promote your film. So there's other companies you can do a deal with,
Mm-hmm.
and they can take on that marketing. Now it depends on what that split you want to take. Some take 80-20, some take 50 40-60, 50-50. So there are companies who do that, and then you let them do that. It just depends on the terms of the contract, and that's up to you to see what you want to do with your particular project, and they
Okay.
will help promote it and put it out there. Or you can do it like some of these people are doing now and just put it up there and see what happens. But I'm here to tell you that that doesn't work at all.
Good luck. This
Doesn't
is
work
a
at all.
full-time job. It can be trying to put your content out there.
The funny thing is, I was just reading an article on the Blair Witch Project,
Mhm.
and that's kind of like the Blair Witch Project was kind of the first internet viral movie.
Mhm.
And I remember going to that movie. I remember going to the movie theater. Actually, I skipped work to go see it because that's how big it was and that's how viral
Mhm.
it was. And the movie, to me, the movie was terrible. It was this indie movie. I hated it. I think I walked out on it, really. I was like, this sucks.
Yeah, this a crap.
The marketing was so big that I had to see it on that day when it came out.
Mhm.
Now, the actors who played in that movie, what the company did was they gave them the equipment to show them how to shoot it, because they shot and did the sound for everything, and they
Mhm.
put them out into the woods and showed them how to do it. But they didn't get any money, and they're still not getting any money from it. That movie is like the highest grossing independent film there is.
Really?
Exactly. Yeah. The Blair Witch Project. In fact, they're trying to revive the whole Blair Witch Project. But the three actors that were in the film, the stars of the film, they got no money from that. They were broke. This one of the actors said that he was actually a waiter and was serving his agent lunch And his agent was like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "You know I'm broke."
But you have not hooked me up with no jobs.
He's like, "You know I'm broke." In fact, they couldn't get jobs. What they asked them to do, because they wanted to go underneath the whole hoax that this was a found film. So
Mm-hmm.
they told them that they couldn't tell anybody they were actors. They
Right.
couldn't go to any of the premieres or anything that. And they signed these contracts to that just kind of gave their rights away. But they were young 20-year-olds. This kind of thing had never been done. They all thought that, okay, this is just going to be something that's on our reel and we can show our friends and family. And it's like I said, it's the highest grossing independent film that there's ever been. So my whole point was that marketing of that film was so big, because I think they spent $34,000 in that film, and they spent very little money on that film because they did on marketing of that film, because they went onto this new thing called the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And there were people that were savvy enough that were on the internet already, and they went online and they all passed it among their friends. And then in real life was like, oh, there's this movie you guys don't know about. It's called the Blair Witch Project. So people who weren't even on it, they were like, what is this Blair Witch I keep hearing? What is this thing? And so it was one of the biggest grassroots movements out there.
I remember that, because people lost their minds. And right after that, Hollywood went after all of these, horror flicks that had that same kind of dynamic to it.
Found footage type horror films.
Now, here's my question then, because you tap on two things. One, again, and this is what I really want to get, is the business aspect of it. One, then how do you make money? And two, it sounds like to me, creators need to be really savvy about the business end of this industry as well, and really do research as to what your rights are.
Right.
Would you say that's true? And, kind of speak a little bit about, what would you tell a newcomer in regards to both how you make your money back, and two, who should you have on your team to make sure you are protected?
Well, whenever you have an idea, off the top, you copyright the idea. You can copyright that yourself. So right when I had the thought to even start making this film, before I even started talking about it, I started to copyright it. You can copyright it online. The Copyright Office in DC put that up. So first of all, copyright your stuff and your idea before you start running around telling everybody, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then they take your idea. You're like, that was my idea, but you have no proof.
You have no proof.
I mean, you can maybe like say I said it first, but the copyright gives you the most protection under law.
Okay.
So that's the first, and you can do it yourself. The second thing is you're going to have to find a good attorney to work with. Now, do you have the money to pay the attorney? Maybe not. But again, you can go online and find the resources you need to have to make sure your film is protected. When you start to get into the whole thing of, like I said, finding an independent producer, another producer to take on your film to help market, look at that contract and have an attorney look at that contract and find out what it is. Because those contracts they're not written for you.
Right. I'm gonna make money out of this.
Say I have your best interest, or we're gonna be like family, and we're gonna that contract's not written for you. That contract's written for the lawyer who wrote it for that production company, and that was to protect them and make the most money for them. Right. So an attorney is the most important thing you can get when you're dealing with that level. When you're starting with contracts, an attorney is the best thing. Entertainment lawyer, not your cousin who does small. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do, but when you're dealing with people who really are specific in terms of the entertainment business, you have to have an entertainment lawyer, because they know the ins and outs of those specific contracts. And they've dealt with them before. And there's language in there and things that, other lawyers may not be privy to or know what, industry standards are for those particular contracts. So you have to get somebody who knows what they're doing.
So where are you now with your movie? It's completed, if I understand correctly.
The movie's completed.
And you have been marketing it, and the only reason why I know that is because I live across from the Lyric Theater. So I know
nobody was here.
You ran.
Yeah. Well, what gets you into okay, so what are you going to do when you show your film? Are you going to have something for people to hold on to? Are Are you going to have people to walk around with your shirts? To give something to people besides saying, hey, I need $10, I need $25 for this film, you have to give them something, give them that experience. So when people come to my screenings, I try to have t-shirts for them to wear, so they can have a piece of the film. And they're after they see the film, they're a little more invested. There's like, oh, I love this film. I want to be a part of it. How can I be a part of it? How can I help? This is how you can help. I'd be happy to take some money if you're just going to give it to me.
Right.
I want to give you something. So now I have some money from you. And also now you are potentially a walking billboard for me. People see my shirt. They're like, what is that? Oh, it's this great documentary that I saw. You have to see it. It's really great. Where can I see it? It's not streaming yet, but when it does, I'll let you know. So you can kind of build a community. And that's what I want to do with this film. So when I do my screenings, well, first of all, let's take it back to the film festivals, because I did the whole film festival circuit. The thing with the film festival circuit, and it's pretty unique from when I did it, because it was during COVID. So everybody was doing these virtual screenings, which is it's not optimal. Traditionally, what film festivals were for was to bring directors and films and projects together with distributors who wanted to see the film and option it for a movie or straight to video when video came out, like Blockbuster. And there's a bunch of Blockbuster movies that you're like, what is this movie? And you picked it up. A distributor went to some film festival, saw it, liked it, and made that you can make money straight from video. That's what film festivals were for, traditionally.
Right.
Some of the big ones, they still do that, like Cannes, Sundance. Some of the larger ones, Tribeca. There's a whole. I mean, there's film festivals all over the world now, but there are not as many. In fact, COVID put a lot of distributors in the rears. They're backed up with projects right now. They can't, because they have so much stuff that they were trying to put out in the theaters. And then COVID changed that whole model up. So that's why you're seeing so much stuff going straight online right now.
Right.
So if you're independent and you have a project, you're fighting against not only your peers that are independent like you're fighting against all those backed up projects coming out for 3, 4 years. People don't realize that when you shoot a film, by the time it comes out, sometimes that film had been done 2 or 3 years before.
Right.
So it takes a while, even for bigger studios, to put out films. That's because
that length of time is just, and that's even if you have some credibility.
Exactly. So I try to bet on myself, and I was just like, okay, these film festivals are great, but I'm not getting the attention that I need. Why don't I just do it? Because you're competing, even at a festival, you're competing with a bunch of other films. So that's why I decided to just do these screenings on my own.
Okay.
Go around and get to theaters. My particular project is art focused. So what I try to do is go with art galleries. We've done a project at a screening at the Newark Museum.
Okay.
People are art focused and want to see this particular film. So I try to do that. And once I do that, I try to have the people that are there so engaged. I do a Q&A, and I let everybody know after they see, okay, now you guys have been infected. I need you guys to go out and spread the word. And I'd rather have people say, okay, when can I see? I heard about it. When can I see it? It's not streaming yet. Or I can have people saying, oh, I didn't know you had a movie streaming. I didn't know you had it up there. So I'm trying to do the opposite. I'm trying to build the grassroots by doing these interviews. Thank you for the platform. For doing these screenings. I've done some in New York, New Jersey, Detroit. I've done a few here, actually in Overtown. That we did one at the Lyric Theater. So it's just, again, that's just getting people out and coming to be invested enough to come see your film. It takes a lot to get people out of their houses.
Right. These days, you're right.
Not even for my film, just for regular film.
In general.
In general. So it's asking a lot of people to like, okay, I need you to drive down here, come see my film. I need an hour and 20 minutes of your time to see this film. And like I said, luckily I've been, fortunate enough to get some people who really support the film and like the film.
Well, let's say, all right, you get this grassroots momentum. What would be the best case scenario for you? Where would you like this project to be? On in theaters, on streaming platforms? Where would be you would figure
So
you?
I had a conversation with a film executive. It's a
Mhm.
very well-known film executive. He's known about my project for a while, and he's actually told me keep doing what you're doing. So for him, and for me too, this was kind of the idea that I wanted to have with this particular film, since it's so art focused, is have it travel to different places, to different galleries, to different museums, and have it shown as an art piece, not just a film.
Okay. 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 Okay.
And that's what makes it unique. You have to come there to see that particular film.
Hmm.
And he said, listen, to me, really, that's the uniqueness of this film, that you have to go see this, you have to go where it is to go see this film. And I did have somebody drive 4 hours to come to the Lyric Theater to
Nice.
see the film because she had heard about it and she kept seeing it. And she, God bless her, she drove 4 hours just to come see my film. And I was super excited that happened, and grateful. So that just put in my mind that this is something I possibly want to do. That's going to take, that takes time to build.
Hmm.
um
Oh.
but at the same time, this is something special. It's not something that you can get to when you get to it.
Hmm.
You know
It's
what
a
I
passion
mean?
project.
There's so many things that are so convenient, and so many people have stuff. Oh, I'm gonna watch that movie. Oh, I'm gonna get to it, and because it's so readily available to people now.
That's
um
true.
you know
That's true.
when I was younger, the thing is, like, when a TV show came on, you had to be there that week to see that,
Right. Yes.
and then you had to wait the next week. So now
Right.
you can binge watch everything.
Exactly. And then
And
you had to wait for the reruns if you missed an
you
episode.
have to wait for
Reruns
it
may
to
not come
come
in
on.
late.
Now
It,
that you people can conveniently watch content just on their
mhm.
phone, whatever they want to. So
Right.
you have to make your particular project special. There has to be something about it that makes people want to come see that film. Now, when people come to see that film, I have the option of, okay, are you going to pay for this film? I can sell tickets, which I have sold tickets before. When they come there, I can actually have an institution say, okay, we're going to pay you to come to our institution to see this special film. And that's going to bring people out to their museum or their gallery, because they have something special they're showing, just like a piece of art. So I think that's the way I'm going. And then when I get there, like I said, if you want a t-shirt, you want to be invested, you can buy a shirt. I
Right.
have jackets. So merchandising is important as well.
So for you, there are going to be different revenue streams in order to really get you at least, to a point where you can break even.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, the fortunate thing for me is that I was able to cut a lot of cost in terms of me just doing a lot of the production. But there are some things that just are beyond my technical know-how, in terms of like color correction and sound, and that's the same some things that people skip when they're doing projects. They don't do the post-production work, which you can. There's a bunch of it on TV, on all kinds of streaming
Mhm.
platforms now, and I see it, and it's terrible, and I
Oh,
hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
real film buff.
I come from a sound background, from
Uh-huh.
music and sound. So when I see something the sound is bad, I can't even watch it.
My
And
husband's like that. He's
yeah,
like, mm-mm. If it's not pretty, all the cinema, all the bells and whistles, he is not having it.
because that's what you come to see. I mean, you came to see something that's produced. Now, to be honest, on the other hand, people watch stuff because it's so bad.
Yeah, that's true too. That's
So if
true
you're
too.
gonna be bad, just be bad.
He's
If
just
people
like,
jump
ah,
on
it
it,
sucks, but I can't turn away.
yeah. I mean, that's how a lot of the Dolomite movies got
That's true.
popular.
That's
So
true.
people went to see him. Eddie Murphy has said that he used to go see the Dolomite movies because they were so bad, and he'd be like, "Oh, look at the microphone! You can see the microphone." And so,
But he does.
that's trying to do the opposite. But if you're trying to just do something and do it, you might get famous like that for making the worst movie.
That's true. That's
In
true.
fact, I watched a show on Netflix, the 50 worst movies ever made.
Really?
Yeah, it's on
I
Netflix right
gotta
now.
find that. I gotta
It's on
find
Netflix, it's on Netflix or Prime. I can't remember, but it's the 50 worst movies of all time.
another
And
vibe.
I'm guilty of like going back and watching. Like I like to watch the old bad 50s horror movies because they're hilarious. Now,
Especially compared to what you see today. Like I
exactly.
can only imagine that what you see today, you're like, what? The gushing blood? It just doesn't make any sense anymore.
Now I have seen stuff that really on online movies that the concepts and the scripts are great, but the execution is terrible, the acting is terrible, everything else. But I see the idea, but I applaud those people because I'm like, at least you shot it and
You
you
did
put it
it.
up and you
Mhm.
put it up there, as opposed to somebody saying, "Oh, look at that tear." That's I'm like, okay, well, what did you do?
Right, exactly. That's true.
Anybody's stuff, because even just getting to that point where you can try to make something somewhat cohesive, put it out there and put it up there.
With the guts to do so, I agree with that because it's not an easy feat at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
We were talking about that a little earlier. So, two quick questions before we let you go.
Okay.
What's next for you? And then I want to hear about the movie itself. We've done all the business stuff. What is the movie about, and why should we go see it?
Well, I'll talk about the movies. The movie is called Nobody Was Here: The Life of TMNK, about artist TMNK, which stands for the Me Nobody Knows. It was a gentleman who was doing very well in his life as an ad executive, making six figures, the big car, the big house, but he wasn't fulfilled, and he always wanted to do art. So at the age of 47 years old, he said, "I'm just going to go for it and see what I can do." And that's what he did. He quit his job,
Wow.
lost his house, but in the meantime, lost many relationships, but in the meantime, fulfilled himself and willed himself to be a global street artist, and that's what he did.
Very nice. Very nice story. Did you know him personally or?
He's a friend of mine. Yeah, he's a
Okay. Okay.
excuse me. So the project started out something very different. I loved his artwork. I love what he did, and he was very popular in the Wynwood area. But
Okay.
then he moved his studio a little closer to where I live,
Okay.
off of Biscayne. So I saw him a lot more, and I was just like, okay, when are you going to release this work? He was coming up with an incredible body of work, and he kind of gotten out. He was kind of this loud, in your face artist, but he didn't want to do that anymore. He just wanted to make art.
Right.
All he wanted to do. He wanted to produce art. His background was marketing as well, so
Wow.
he knew to be get people to see his art. He had to be this character. He had to get people to see his art, so people would pay attention to what he was trying to do creatively.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was a time when he was tired of doing that, and being an artist and being the person that's running your own business, it can get tiring.
Right.
And I think he was tired, so he just wanted to do just the art side. He said, "That's all I want to do." So I told him, my background was film and television. I said, "Well, let me just shoot you." I just thought he was like, just in a little mood, and maybe, he'd come out of it, and at least he would have um, the background and the video of the particular art pieces he was doing right now. And he'd be in Paris showing, what influenced him, and he could show that, that's how it started. So when he passed a year later, um, I just wanted to continue the project because the story was so interesting and so relatable to so many people.
Right.
I just started making calls to different people, and they were all down to do it.
Okay.
So it's about his life, his struggles, what it is to be a black artist, street artist, and trying to be successful in this world. And he
Mm-hmm.
actually traveled the world, and his art is in all over the world. I get DMs all the time from the movie Instagram page, from people who have his art.
Oh, nice.
And
Very
he was an early adopter of the internet, of selling your work on the internet. Because I would
okay.
ask him, how did you know him? Did you know him? He's like, well, I didn't know him, but I knew his work, and I would buy his work. So there's stuff everywhere from him.
Very
So yeah, so I get the perspective from the family. I get the perspective from other artists. It's not so art centric as it is about a artist life.
Right.
I've seen a lot of documentaries that are about an artist's work. This
But
is
not,
about an artist's life,
yeah.
what it is to be an artist, and what it is to be a friend of an artist or a family member of an artist. That's what this film is about.
And being true to who you are.
Being true to who you are, but understanding that also there's compromises and sacrifices to whatever passion you have.
Exactly.
It's not
Exactly.
as pretty as you think it is.
Exactly.
But if you want it and you love it, that's sometimes the things you have to do.
So, what's next for you, and how can we reach you?
So what's next is I'm still doing screenings. I'm trying to set up a lot of international screenings now.
Okay.
He had some patrons in Germany. Wanted to go to London, a lot of different places. Norway, he was big in Norway, believe it or not. So that's what I'm trying to set up. There is a GoFundMe page for the film if you want to donate. And you can go to the Instagram page, which is Nobody Was Here, The Life of TMNK, the Facebook page as well, and get in touch with me there.
Okay. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I do appreciate it. Especially with, if you're not from Miami, we're having terrible weather right now.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it was yesterday,
It
but
was horrible yesterday, wasn't it? It was really bad. So thank you again. Please keep in touch and let me know how the movie's going. I would love to see it. So if we can't see it the other way, then please let me know your next screening and I'll
yeah,
share.
the next screening, it's better. You know what? The thing I like about the screenings too is that it's movies are, I think, a communal experience.
Mhm.
So when people come and I do the Q&A afterwards, they're more invested. They love it, and they talk amongst themselves. I mean, there's been times where like, okay, y'all, I got to get out this space because they keep the question. Like, I only got this space for this many times. Like we could talk offline, but I love it. I love the engagement, and I love that people talk about the film long after they see it, and that's what I love.
I agree. I agree. And I look forward to being able to see it out and about. I'll keep looking for it and please share.
For sure.
Thank you so much.
All right,
You
Steph.
have a great evening.
You too. Bye.
So, thank you all for tuning in today. This was a wonderful, informative session. Actually, I learned a lot, and I told him before this that some of these questions was really about me. So sorry. Um, I hope to see you. I think next week we are going to have another show here, and right same time Thursday 5:30. I look forward to seeing you then. You have a great evening, everyone.